Characteristics of Deconstructivism. Introduction. In the late 20th century, a radical new approach began reshaping the architectural landscape: Deconstructivism. This movement broke away from the clean lines and harmony of modernism, rejecting the idea that buildings must be orderly, logical, or even comfortable to the eye. Instead, Deconstructivism celebrates fragmentation, unpredictability, and tension. It's an architecture that looks unstable, but is meticulously controlled, guided by the philosophy of Jacques Derrida. Deconstructivism questions how we perceive structure, meaning, and order. It's not about chaos for chaos's sake. It's about showing that disorder itself can reveal a deeper logic. Key characteristics of deconstructivist architecture. Here are the key ideas that shape its visual language. Fragmented and disjointed forms. Deconstructivist buildings appear as if they've been pulled apart and reassembled in irregular ways. Walls tilt, roofs split, and facades collide at unexpected angles. This sense of fragmentation gives the impression that the building is in motion or even mid-explosion. The goal is to break the traditional idea of a single unified form. Instead, each piece becomes an independent component in visual tension with the rest. Asymmetry and non-linear geometry. Symmetry represents order, and deconstructivism intentionally avoids it. These buildings are asymmetrical, sharp, and unpredictable. Every view reveals a different perspective. No side looks like another. Lines are diagonal, planes are twisted, and geometry is constantly shifting. This lack of balance gives deconstructivist architecture its dramatic, almost cinematic energy. Distorted structural grids. In most architecture, a clear structural grid brings logic and rhythm. Deconstructivism distorts or breaks the grid to create tension. Columns may lean, beams may intersect irregularly, and facades refuse to align. The design might appear chaotic, but it's engineered with precision. Structure and disorder coexist in calculated imbalance. This deliberate distortion symbolizes the complexity and fragmentation of the modern world. Overlapping volumes and layered spaces. Rather than being composed of simple shapes, deconstructivist buildings are made of overlapping, interlocking volumes. One surface slices through another, creating multiple layers of depth and contrast. These intersections blur the line between interior and exterior, producing a sense of instability and movement. It's an architecture that invites exploration, where every angle offers a new visual surprise. Sculptural expression over function. In deconstructivism, architecture becomes sculptural, often prioritizing form over function. Each building acts as a physical statement, a three-dimensional experiment. The result is a structure that challenges expectations of what a building should look like or how it should behave. While this sometimes defies practicality, it transforms architecture into art, expressive, abstract, and deeply symbolic. Material contrast and visual tension. Deconstructivist buildings often emphasize contrast through materials and textures. Smooth glass collides with raw concrete. Shiny metal folds around matte surfaces, and shadows play across irregular planes. These materials highlight the building's fragmented form, creating a layered, tactile experience that enhances its emotional impact. Digital design and construction techniques. The emergence of computer-aided design, CAD, made deconstructivism possible. Complex geometries and non-linear structures could finally be modeled, simulated, and built accurately. This digital precision allowed architects to control chaos, producing forms that seem spontaneous but are carefully calculated. It marked a major shift in design thinking and laid the groundwork for today's parametric and algorithmic architecture. Notable examples of deconstructivist architecture. Guggenheim Museum Bilbao, Spain, Frank Gehry, 1997. Perhaps the most iconic example of deconstructivism. Gehry's Guggenheim appears as a cascade of titanium waves. Its fragmented, fluid form transformed the museum into a global symbol of architectural innovation and helped revive the city of Bilbao. Jewish Museum, Berlin, Germany, Daniel Libeskind, 2001. Libeskind's design tells a story through geometry. The zigzagging structure, voids, and slashing windows evoke the fractured history of Jewish culture in Germany. It's a powerful example of how deconstructivist form can carry deep emotional meaning. Vitra Design Museum, Germany, Frank Gehry, 1989. One of the earliest built expressions of deconstructivism. This project uses twisting white volumes that collide at sharp angles. Its form rejects symmetry and logic, yet feels perfectly balanced within its own disorder. How deconstructivism affects modern architecture. Deconstructivism transformed how architects perceive form. Meaning and order prove that architecture doesn't need to follow harmony. It can express tension, fragmentation, and complexity as reflections of modern life. The movement also advanced the use of digital modeling and freeform geometry, laying the foundation for parametricism and neo-futurism. Culturally, it gave architecture a new voice, one that embraces uncertainty and emotion. Even today, its influence remains visible in museums, cultural landmarks. An experimental design Deconstructivism reminds us that imperfection can be intentional and that breaking structure can create meaning. The beauty of architecture lies not only in order, but in its controlled chaos.